Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining today. My name is Alan Penny, and today I'll be covering submittals. I'll be talking about the differences for small to medium businesses, middle market, and then enterprise. I'm going to start off with going through a walkthrough of our product Go. I'll talk about submittal flow, and then after that, we'll move over to going through the walkthrough on our Flex platform. And then I will cover some general tips and tricks, some common pitfalls and how to avoid them. And then we're going to hold a Q&A session. With me, I have Sarah. And again, my name is Alan Penny. I'm an implementation project manager here at RedTeam. I'm very excited to show you guys what we have to work with here with submittals. So once you're logged into your RedTeam, so we see here my project here is already in progress. I've already created out commitments. But now I need to work on some submittals. All you want to do is access by clicking on submittals. You'll see your window here. A great tool is the tour. If this is new for you, this will tell you exactly where to go, how to create your packages, and what to do next. Now here, I've already started one for our general conditions. Now this is great because it gives you the information of what item you're working on and shows you what you're waiting on, the due date, and then the status. Now from here, you have a couple options. You can go to settings. And I always like to start with a lead time for new submittal items. So once you add these numbers here, any new submittal you create is going to have that lead time, the review time, and it makes your job a little bit easier to go through, especially if you're adding multiple at a time. You also have the option to set the final notification method. Automatically, as soon as it's approved, everybody that is in this submittal will receive a notification, or you can choose to send that final approval yourself. You can also set up reminders, turn them on and off here. And then you will also have access to your submittal report builder. Now, this is great because you can create this. It generates an Excel worksheet for you. You can have it be specific to cost codes. You can have it be the company name, just something that's going to make sense for your day-to-day. And the default fields will always be here. You can always preview this here. And it will generate an Excel workbook for you. Now, there is this option here where you can save this, and this will save it for each individual user. So if you want to have your own custom configured report, this is a great way to save it. You also have your actions here. You can request your submittal. You can request an approval. And then if you want to send your check submittals to transmittals, you can also do that here. You have the option to print out. You can print out your submittal log, your overdue report. You can do a detailed submittal log, and you can also print out your submittal status report. So once you're ready to create your submittals, what you want to do is you want to go to packages. And then here I have all the packages that are available for my job. So I've already started with 2 of them here. And I'm gonna go ahead and move on to the next one. You also have the option to create your own custom package here. You just type in the package number, package name, and you can add your custom package. Once that's open, you can come in here, you can change the name of your item. The cost code will always stay there. And then you have the option to add your submittal here. So you always want to fill out your title and your type. Those are going to be mandatory fields for you. And then you want to have a description that's going to make sense to your team and any external stakeholders. And then if you do have a subcontract already written out, it's going to have the responsible party here. But you can always change that. And then you want to select what this responsible party is. And then lastly, you want to go ahead and add your architect. And as we can see here, the days to review have been added. And then if you've already received your submittal from your subcontractor, you have the option to add your attachment here. And then you want to make sure you either enter the do it on site or the final approval. Either way, it's going to provide you with, as soon as you enter the date, it'll provide you with both. And it'll update the information here. Here it's going to display your project team. Everybody that's listed here is going to receive an email with information anytime there's an update. And then down here, you have a couple of options. You can save this item as a default. That's going to automatically add to a package on all your future jobs. So if it's something that you're going to request on all your jobs, you can always have that selected, and it's going to save you time. It'll make it more efficient for you. And then you also have the option to create another item. So if you wanted to send something else to the same subcontractor, you can always select this and then save it. You have the option to save and submit. So this will send the request to the next person in your workflow. So go ahead and click that now. You get an email window. You can edit this information here, and then you can just send that out. So now let's see here, that's what we're waiting on. And there's a couple of ways you can answer these. If you already have your submittal from your subcontractor, you can always come in here, go into edit. As I mentioned, you can add their attachment. Once you do that there, you can go ahead and send it. And it's going to go to the next person. And again, it's going to show you who's responsible for the next step. So that would be the GC. And your each recipient is going to receive an email like this. They can go ahead and answer through here. Or if they do access their own portal, they can do that as well. You'll see one that looks just like this. All you have to do is drag and drop your file. Confirm, and then once again, when I refresh this screen, go back into my submittals tab. I see here. Okay, so I see here that my attachment is here. You'll be able to review that. You can download that. And then it's going to give you your stamp and markup tool. Once you're here, you can add a page. And then once we're ready to make a selection, here you can select the color or the background. You can have it have a white background or see-through. And then once that's ready, you can move your stamp. And then your changes will automatically save. Once you're done with that, click done. And then you can save and submit. It'll move it to the next person. And then once again, you're going to receive an email. And then once it's ready to submit, just click submit. And now your GC is going to receive that notification along with your subcontractor. And now we see that our package is approved. Now, the important thing about your submittals is you can always create default submittals. That's going to speed up your process. It's going to make it more efficient. And then you can do that by going into your administration, go to default settings, and then you have your default submittal list. So here's where you can save time by setting those packages up beforehand, especially for projects that you generally do multiple times. That's going to be one of the best ways to make sure that you are as efficient as possible with your submittals. Are there any questions on Go submittals in the meantime?
I'm not seeing any in the Q&A at the moment, Alan, but guys, feel free to drop those in there. If Alan can't answer anything live for you, I'll also be answering things in the Q&A.
Yeah, thank you, Sarah. Anything you'd like to add?
No, not at the moment.
Excellent. Yeah, so RedTeam Go, it's excellent for keeping track of your reports. You can see everything here. It's going to show you. No, overdue. Sorry, these are not overdue. Yeah, so this is going to provide you with a log for you as you're working and some of these projects will have multiple packages. This is a great way to make sure that you are on track. When you're doing your meetings internally, you're going to see all the information here. But really the best way is just to come in here, open it up and see what we're waiting on. And then you have the option to contact that person. Yeah, so that's everything for RedTeam Go. I'm gonna hop over to RedTeam Flex for now. If anybody has any questions for Go, please feel free to add them into the chat. In the meantime, I'll be logging off for RedTeam Go. Yeah, so this is Flex. It's very similar to RedTeam Go. This is going to be a more configurable software. Here, we'll look for one of our projects. So your submittals become available as soon as your project is in the request stage. You can access them a couple ways. You can go into the house icon, or you can go to your submittals tab. So here I have a couple options. Once a submittal is created, it's going to show up here under your committed tab. If in your project preferences, there's an option here where it saves you just a little bit of time on making sure that once you create a submittal, it's just going to go into committed status. What that does is it allows you to send this out. Then you can request your submittal here. It's mandatory to select the provider, so you just select your sub. This will automatically be selected if you have a open contract with them. And then if you have multiple items, you can link them up here. For the purpose of this example, let's say my subcontractors already sent the submittal for me, so I want to make sure that I just come in here. I'm going to edit. And I don't have to request it anymore because I already have the files from them. So you just fill out the information here. How many copies we're receiving. And then you want to fill out the date you received it on. And you want to select what your submittal is comprised of. It could be a PDF. It could be a cloud storage link, a physical item if it's a sample. And there is a size limit of 250 megabytes on here. Once you upload that, it'll be here. Now you can also review it from this area, or you can save it at this point. So that's going to move it to the requested stage. I'm sorry, to the receive stage. And then from here, it's ready to review. All we have to do is edit or review the submittal. Enter the date. And then from here gives you an option to see what we actually did receive. We add this to review. And then we save that. Once it's been reviewed, we want to request for an approval. In order to do that, all you have to do is click on the Rubik's Cube, request for approval. We save that on there. And if you want anyone to just be able to comment on this to bring any more information for you, you can add them here. You'll be able to add anybody from your team, and they'll be able to make comments. The only person that will be able to approve this is going to be listed here. And you can provide any additional instructions here. Now that it's been submitted, all you have to do is commit the file. And this is what your recipient's going to receive. They're going to receive a magic link. It's going to open this up for them, and they'll be able to go ahead and download this file. Review everything they need to, and then they can come back in here. Click on details. Then once you're ready, if they, for whatever reason, do not want to respond to that email, or they just email you the response outside of RedTeam, you can always come in here, upload the response yourself. You do have to select one of these, either approved as noted or approved as submitted. This is our training database, so we do have a couple more options for rejected. But once you select that, who approved it, your architect, when you received your answer, and then you can save that. So once you know that this has been answered, you have the option now to notify your provider. That way your vendor knows exactly what they need to do, whether they need to revise, whether they need to move forward, or if they need to resubmit. Now with these submittals here, what you can do once they're created, you'll see here that I was actually able to group two of them. This sub is going to be working on the certification for both of these requests. So all we have to do here, do the request, email this out. And then again, here it's going to show you who's going to receive it. So your vendor is now going to see a request for that submittal. And then it's going to have the GC on here. You can always add external recipients to this, and you can write any additional instructions on here. Once you're ready, you can just send that out. And now we're just waiting on that answer for this particular submittal. So let's say, for example, we received our answer for this today. This is a physical sample. We were looking at the tile. So this is what it looked like here. We'll be able to submit add our electronic attachments. Make sure you start your upload and then save. Same thing for the last one. Do it one more time. Now this is ready. So we see that everything's already been submitted. So now here that it's been received, we can go ahead and review that. We can upload a review. Provide the tracking number for the sample that we shipped out. And then save. So every time we create one of these documents, we always make sure that we see this is going to be a draft. At this point, every time you want to commit the document, and then you can send that out. And then let's say our architect takes a look and says, hey, you know what, this needs to be updated. This is automatically going to cancel it out. You'll see here that it's going to be crossed out. And what will happen is we'll have a new one that's just created. It's going to show you the same number, the revision number, and then the name of your submittal. Then at this point, you want to go right back to that process where you commit the document. And then here, you want to send this out for your sub. That way they can take a look at any of the notes that were provided by your architect, and they'll be able to make the changes and then move forward with this process. For submittals, a couple of different ways to create. For this example, what I'm going to show you is, let's say you have a certain type of project that you work on all the time, and you've already had a project before. So what you want to do is you can go to the new icon. You can import your submittals. You have a couple of different options. You can import it from a previous project, or if you have a template where you have all of your listed submittals, you can also do that here. And then all you have to do is make sure you have your customer, their contact, who the author is, and click continue. And that's going to import your submittals from there. Now, another option that we have here for you can import default submittal items. So let's say, for example, you have this project where plumbing and fire sprinklers are always going to be needed. All you have to do is check the default submittal items that you have created in your database. And then you just click save. So it's going to create those here for you. Now you can either commit these and request those submittals from your vendors, or if you already have those responses, you can also upload them as I showed earlier. Best way to configure these, and only people with admin privileges will be able to do this. We'll go to our configuration menu. We'll go to our submittals. And then we have our submittal default items. So here we have a list that makes it easy for you to just preload different type of submittal items that you're going to use on your project. So if it's something that, hey, we're going to do this on the majority of our projects, You can create a new one here, type in the subject, and then select the type, and it'll save you time not having to copy those each time. Any questions on the submittal process in Flex?
So far we just had one question from Brian, and it might be worth kind of showing where that is. So he asked if RedTeam Flex auto assigns tracking numbers or if you make your own. And the answer to that is within your project preferences, you have the ability to turn on or off an auto numbering feature. So if we just want to kind of show where that's at, Alan, that might be helpful to folks.
Yeah, absolutely. So sorry, that might have been a little quick. So you just want to go into your project preferences. You can access that either by clicking on the red house icon, project setup, or you can go to your this paper icon with a little gear. Then you want to jump into your project preferences. And Sarah, is a question on their own submittal number or the tracking?
He was asking about tracking numbers. So if you've got the auto assign on, right, it's going to go ahead and give you an item number. If you
Yeah,
have the auto assign off, then you're just going to see the name that you assign. So there's that automatic submittal numbering.
yeah. And then here, actually, that's a good question because this also brings up setting up reminders. So whenever you have your create your project, it's always great to make sure that you do have a reminder here. It could be a pop-up, it could be an email or an action item. And that way, when your request for approval, if you need something 3 days before it's the due date, you can set that up here. And you can have multiple reminders for each one, either for the request for approval or for your request for a submittal. And then in your plan room, so this is what your external stakeholders are going to look at. You can choose to include your submittals, approved or rejected. That's completely up to you. But once what you select there will also be able to be viewable in your application. So if you use the Flex mobile app, you'll be able to see that there. And then lastly, we'll just look at some of the reports we have here. We have our submittals log. Let me switch to. So to access your reports, you just click on the view icon. You can see your submittals log. Here it's going to show you everything that we've created here. The workflow status, and you'll have the information for the request for the submittal. You'll have the request for the approval and the notification of vendor. You also have the option to remove some of the columns on here. And then you can export this as a Excel worksheet. Another way to track these is by clicking here on the hamburger icon. You can look at your request for approvals. You can look at your request for submittals. And it'll give you additional information here. So for example, you want to find out, hey, was this open? Did someone receive it? Here under the log, you'll have more information. Let's look at this one. So here we see that it was emailed, where it was sent to. So this metadata could be helpful for you for confirming that things were actually sent out. Are there any other questions on submittals today?
I'm not seeing any at the moment.
Okay. Is there anything you would like to add, Sarah?
Just to say, guys, that this submittals workflow here in Flex can seem a bit lengthy and involved, but the idea here is to make sure that, right, each little step happens, everything's directed right the way that it needs to be. But I don't think that means you shouldn't make it your own, right? As somebody who's been teaching Flex for about 5 years now, I do see that a lot of our smaller clients who have um, subs that maybe aren't as good at playing along with that digital submission process, you absolutely can look at our help center, go through our videos on uploading those kind of things on their behalf, right? Skipping through that request for submittal email step, if that helps shorten things up for you, right? You may just have really proactive subs who are used to talking with you on a regular basis. They know what to provide you, and you don't need that initial email. That can shorten things up for you. We also do see some of our larger clients when we're talking about enterprise type differences. Um, some folks that need to submit these items to their architect through another software. So that's also a possibility, right? Don't feel like you can't use Flex submittals process if you need to submit to an architect through something like Newforma or something else. Definitely okay to go ahead and use Flex to collect and review all your submittal items. And then you can actually use that request for approval PDF as a submittals package. I've seen a lot of larger clients download that, all of the submitted and reviewed files, along with the cover page we generate. You can actually upload that into, like I said, Newforma or other softwares that your architect may require or your ownership may require. It can still be nice to track for your team through Flex so that you know officially what the answers are. You keep it all in one place. Your team isn't having to go to that third-party software that the architect or the owner is using. But I think that's really all I have to add. Like I said, just don't be afraid to make it your own. And if you need help with that, you can always reach out to your CSM for some consultation and advice.
Yeah, thanks, Sarah. Yeah, I was just gonna point out, yeah, the import tool is excellent. Um, Especially if you do have multiple submittals you have to create each time. This is gonna save you a lot of time. All you have to make sure is you have the correct type. The reference, the subject is mandatory. And then you want to make sure that if you do use phases, make sure you use the correct phase, and then your cost code. And then if it's a submittal, or if it's not, you can just type in no, and then this will allow you to import directly into.
And we've got a couple other good questions here, Alan, as soon as you're ready.
Yeah, of course.
So Brian is asking about other webinars he can attend to get more familiar with RedTeam. So Brian, I would definitely advise you to check out our events page on our RedTeam website. We have these training webinars generally once a month. And then sometimes we'll have supplemental webinars where we talk about other things from a business perspective, where our marketing team or our product team may go into some more kind of strategic stuff as opposed to just basic training like these training webinars. So definitely check out the events page. I am going to drop in the chat here for you guys, and we'll follow up with you after. We've got a webinar coming up tomorrow to kind of talk about how to make the most out of our submittals features and to preview a little bit for you our new submittals features that are going to be coming in Flex. We're starting some alpha and beta testing on those here at the end of the year. And then next year, you're actually going to see a brand new submittals feature here in Flex. So we definitely encourage you to tune into that tomorrow. I'll put the link in here for you in a moment. And then the other question we've got here from Owen is, are the requests for approval all sent via email, or are there other ways for them to access that, like view approvals and plans? So right now, yes, through Flex, all RFAs are sent out via email. Again, I would definitely encourage you to take a look at our webinar tomorrow, because that new submittals feature that's going to be coming out early next year is going to create what we're calling an SAO portal. And that's going to allow much more proactive digital access for our architects and owners who need to approve things. So that is coming, but right now, as it stands, the Flex feature emails out all those RFAs. One place they could go to view plans, if they just need to view the current plans, would be that online plan room for any project that they can log into anytime they'd like. And they may, if you choose to share approved submittals, approved submittals can be seen there. They just, they can't mark their approval from the plan room. They'd have to do that from the email. So hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, and Go does have its own platform for architects and um, subcontractors. So that's the only option you don't see that.
Yeah, great point.
Um,
Sorry, Owen. I didn't clarify whether you were Flex or Go client, but yes, for Go, they've already got a portal, which hopefully you already know about. And we're hoping to go in that direction with Flex as well.
all right. Well, I think that should be everything for today. I think I wanted to just cover a couple tips and tricks. Just making sure that you want to do a concise naming of your specs. For Go, create items by the section to ensure the completeness. Standardize your naming pattern by section, system, material, uh, and just make sure you do make that ownership explicit. When we were looking at the submittals page on Go, it does specifically say whose responsibility is as it moves to the next person. And then yeah, you want to use packages for the related items. So you want to group those together. And then just keep the large sections organized so you can route them together. Um, Standardize your disclaimer text on your stamps so they're all company-wide the same. Uh, Make sure that you guys are controlling your revisions. And as you're uploading your superseding files, make sure that you do rely on that version history. You want to make sure that you don't overwrite your originals. And then, yeah, approved isn't the end. In RedTeam Flex, you want to make sure that you move that to the next phase. And then in the spec section, you want to filter by status, just to make sure what kind of responsible party to spot any bottlenecks on there. And then we have reports that you can look at. I think those are great, especially the customizable one on RedTeam Go. I like that a lot because sometimes you only want to see a couple things on there that are vital for you. And then just being able to have that configuration for that report, I think is very helpful. And then some of the common pitfalls and how to avoid them when you have items that are just out there. Always make sure you tag the correct spec section. It's going to make it easier for your architect, for your GC to look at where it needs to be. Make sure that people know what they're responsible for, the due dates, and then making sure that the basically just making sure that you know who has ownership of each step on it. And then making sure that when you do update your plans, let your team know, hey guys, we have latest file, and where they can look at the revisions, or where they can look at those final stamps, PDFs. And then yeah, just over complex routing. If you're using simple items, it's going to be difficult for your team to keep track of everything. So one thing I always notice, and I always try to tell all my clients, when we set up all of our notes, any type of descriptions, the more detail you add on there, the more your team's going to benefit from that. And then lastly, some of the packages, they do include a lot of items on there. So just making sure you have a good discipline on how many items can be reviewed at a time. And that's also going to speed up your process. Well, thank you guys. And I think we have more time for questions if you guys have any. Sarah, were there any more that came in?
The last question is just whether we'll be sharing a recording. And yes, you should have access to the recording. It should be a follow-up email from our marketing team after this is complete. It'll also be accessible on our events page on demand if you want to take a look at it at any time. And I did drop that registration link in the chat for you guys. So before you log off, please make sure to grab that link. If you're a Flex client, you'll definitely want to tune into tomorrow's webinar if you're available.
All right, well, thank you for joining today.